I'm Larry Coressel, and this is Arts Focus. Erin Flanagan is a Dayton area author and teacher, and another recipient of the Ohio Arts Council Individual Excellence Award.
I received the Individual Excellence Award for a short story called Protégé that I wrote for an anthology called Myopic Duplicity about the gray areas of right and wrong and whether or not the ends ever justify the means. It was edited by Jeff Circle, who's fantastic. He's out of Toledo. The story is about a woman who's up for a prestigious academic grant who suspects her mentor might not be quite the stand-up guy she thinks he is, but if she's willing to admit that, it's going to cost her her entire future. So she has to decide, how much am I going to believe what I think might be the truth?
And that's a short story. Mm-hmm. You've also written some full-length novels.
Yeah, so I kind of cut my teeth on short stories. Mm-hmm. I began writing those. My first two books were collections of short stories, but I'd always wanted to write a novel. And it wasn't that I couldn't write a novel, it was that I couldn't write a good one for an awfully long time. So I had 4 novels that I kept working on for years and years, and 3 of which my agent had sent out, and I just couldn't quite crack it. So I kind of figured out with short stories, plot is kind of a backseat driver, and in novels, it's really in the front seat. So I had to kind of figure out, how do I strengthen the plot? And I decided to write a mystery, which is how I finally was able to finish a novel that I really, really loved and also get it published.
And when did you publish that one?
That one came out in 2021.
So how many complete novels have you done so far?
Well, I've published 3, and I have probably completed 9 or 10 by now. Yeah, wow. And started many, many more that I get 20,000, 30,000 words in and just lose the juice. And you just have to accept that's part of the process.
Where do you get your ideas?
Oh, gosh, they really are as random as they come. Sometimes it'll be a character. Sometimes it'll be something from my past. Sometimes it'll just be an image. That's what the story Protégé started with, an image. And I usually don't kind of start that way, or it'll come from a situation, and then I figure out who would get themselves into this kind of a mess and go from there.
When you're not writing, what else do you do?
For a living, I am a professor at Wright State, and it's always weird to think of those as separate as the writing and the teaching, because I teach creative writing, I teach fiction writing mainly, and so the job is the love is the job, and it kind of goes back and forth. And I know a lot of people think, I wouldn't want to spend my whole day doing that, thinking about fiction writing, reading fiction from students, but I'm I think it's a real joy to see the cross-pollination.
Have you had any students that have become up-and-coming authors?
Oh, yeah. We've had quite a few. James Brubaker comes to mind. Laura Donnelly is another one that they've gone on to great success. It's wonderful to see.
Are you originally from Dayton?
No, I'm actually from Iowa, and I grew up on a farm there, and luckily had parents that really supported the idea of writing, not so much as a career, but as a passion, and they really supported me through that. And so I went to school at the University of Nebraska. It was a terrible student, which I love to tell my students. I'm I almost can guarantee your GPA is higher than mine was. And then went out in the real world for 4 years and was kind of well, that's a hot mess. I'll go back for grad school. And luckily had a professor who was willing to recommend me. And that kind of started it all. Once I got into school and really started focusing all my classes on what I loved, I did much better as a student.
What's your latest story you're working on?
I'm working on a novel that actually is based on a true crime that happened when I was at the University of Nebraska. I believe I was a sophomore at the time, and a freshman girl went missing. This was back in 1992, where you didn't feel like there was a safer place on earth than the middle of Nebraska, right? Even in their big college town of Lincoln. And this girl went missing, and it just ricocheted through the entire community, the university, everything. And she was missing for 47 days, I believe it was. And then kind of just by chance, they were able to crack the case because somebody came forward and was willing to sell out somebody else. And so that always stuck with me, that sense of fear, that sense that this could have happened to anybody on campus. I didn't know this woman myself, but I think we all felt like we knew her by the end. I honestly honestly think it's banana pants that anybody would give me money to write fiction. It's something that I've proven over and over and over I will do for free. And I think what's such a joy is to see that the arts are still being recognized at the state level in Ohio, and that we see that as something to value in our communities.
Dayton area author and teacher Erin Flanagan. Get more details about Erin's work by visiting her website, erinflanagan.net. I'm Larry Coressel. Arts Focus is a production of Dayton's listener-supported Discover Classical.